Community Development Work and International Aid, Semester 2, 2019, Assessment 1, Presentation on Australian Volunteers International by Ashley Bennett. I hope you enjoy. Australian Volunteers International is commonly referred to as AVI. AVI is a not-for-profit organisation that has been running for over 65 years. The organisation uses a strengths-based, human rights inclusive and evidence-based approach to enhance social, economic and environmental development for communities throughout Asia, Africa and the Pacific region. As stated earlier, Australian Volunteers International has been operating for over 65 years. In 1951, the first Australian international volunteer, Herb Faith, went to Jakarta to work as a translator for Indonesia's Ministry of Information. Faith helped establish the Volunteer Graduate Scheme. In 1961, the Overseas Service Bureau, or OSB, was formed. The OSB encouraged Australians to volunteer in Asia, Africa and the Pacific. In 1963, the Australian government came on board. From 1968 onwards, the organisation has broadened greatly. It now supports people in 89 different countries around the world, has more than 10,000 international volunteers and 3,000 partner organisations. Within these countries, Australians work in hospitals, universities, schools, government agencies, community organisations and non-government organisations to improve their communities. In 2011, the Australian Volunteers for International Development, or AVID program was introduced to combine the likes of 4 different volunteer programs. In 2016, AVID was renamed as Australian Volunteers International, or AVI. And most recently, in 2017, AVI was selected to deliver the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade's new Australian Volunteers project commencing in January 2018. AVI offers numerous programs which include the Australian Volunteers Program, student programs, Juzazo, Indigenous programs and the Solomon Islands Graduate Internship. The Solomon Islands is the poorest country of the Pacific region. It has 992 islands and a population of approximately 550,000 people. Although the Solomon Islands has had substantial gains in the political and economic structure over the past 10 years, there are still many opportunities for further growth and development. In 2017, food stability, undernourishment and community sustainability were recognised as the biggest issues faced by the Solomon Islands. Community sustainability is a long-term perspective that manages social, political, economic, environmental, cultural, and institutional aspects of a community. Sustainable development helps to meet the needs of the communities in the present without compromising the economy or environment in the future. AVI was contracted by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, or DFAT for short, to take part in the Solomon Islands Graduate Internship Project for 18 months from January 1, 2018 to June 30, 2019. There are only 2 public tertiary education institutions in the Solomon Islands. Due to the limited number of institutions, AVI developed the internship project to allow new medical graduates to apply their knowledge and skills while receiving on-the-job training before becoming fully registered health professionals. The aim of the Solomon Islands Graduate Internship is to provide additional management in the clinical and health sector in the Solomon Islands, to place registered medical professionals in the Solomon Islands to assist with supervision, training and assessment of new foreign trained medical graduates, and to provide recruitment and technical support for health professionals in the Solomon Islands. Interns must complete 4 large core rotations in their first year, which include medicine, general surgery, paediatrics and obgyn, as well as 5 smaller rotations in their second year in anaesthesia, ophthalmology, community health, orthopedics and emergency. Key stakeholders in the Solomon Islands Graduate Internship Program include the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, who are responsible for creating a budget and providing funding, and evaluating Australia's multiple aid investments, foreign trained medical graduates, or FTMGs, which have recently studied medical and health related courses predominantly in Cuba and Fiji. As stated previously, the role of FTMGs was to engage in postgraduate rotations in order to become fully registered health professionals. The Solomon Islands Ministry of Health and Medical Services, or MHMS, was responsible for supervising training and assessing new medical graduates throughout the project. The MHMS had 4 major roles within the project, which included health improvement, healthcare, health policy and planning, and administration and management. And AVI, who were responsible for developing and implementing the project using both volunteers and paid personnel. On top of the key stakeholders, there were 6 major Australian partner organisations, or APOs, which were responsible for recruiting and providing technical support for the Solomon Islands health sector, including the Australasian College for Emergency Medicine, the Centre for International Child Health, James Cook University, John James Foundation, Australian Society of Anaesthetists, and the Royal Australia and New Zealand College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. AVI uses a strengths-based, human rights inclusive and evidence-based approach to ensure effective, sustainable impacts are made on societies. AVI integrates the theory of change into its projects. The theory of change is a method that explains how a proposed intervention supports continuous learning and is expected to lead to evidence-based change. The theory of change is a 5-step process. It involves inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, and impact. Inputs in the Solomon Islands graduate internship include providing substantial funding, volunteers and paid employees, interns, and medical resources. The activities were the 9 postgraduate medical rotations performed by the interns and supervised by the fully registered medical professionals. The outputs or immediate effects of the internship project were sharing of expertise and knowledge from the registered medical professionals to the graduate interns and empowering the lives of people living in the Solomon Islands. The outcomes or goals achieved throughout the internship were developing positive relationships based on mutual trust and respect with the local communities in the Solomon Islands, for Australian volunteers and employees to form an appreciation for cultural awareness, providing experience for the interns, and the professional guidance they received from others throughout the project. And lastly, the impact of the project was to achieve positive change by improving the healthcare industry in the Solomon Islands. AVI suggests that the theory of change is critical to attaining the United Nations General Assembly 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Statistics taken from between January 1st, 2018 and June 30th, 2018 show that there were 46 Australian volunteers based in the Solomon Islands, volunteering mainly in health, education, management and administration roles. During that timeframe, the volunteers supported marginalised groups to engage in their programs, train and mentor recent foreign-trained medical graduates to receive registration, assist the Solomon Islands juvenile welfare system to meet United Nations minimum standards, and improve organisation, planning and decision-making processes in order to meet government legislations. In June 2018, the 46 Australian volunteers in the Solomon Islands graduate internship roles were asked to submit an end-of-assignment report. However, only 30% of the Australian volunteers completed and submitted the end-of-assignment report. Of the submitted reports, 75% had positive experiences and fully or partially achieved their objectives. And volunteers expressed that they developed cultural awareness, respect for diversity, and personal resilience. The most common challenge expressed by the volunteers was that there was limited supervision and support from their supervisors. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the Human Development Solomon Islands Health Report from 2018, created by the United Nations Development Programme, in comparison to the Australian Health Report taken from the same year, on the right-hand side of the screen. There is a substantially higher rate of adult and infant mortality and child malnutrition, as well as lower life expectancy for both males and females in the Solomon Islands. Malaria and tuberculosis rates are also strikingly high in the Solomon Islands. Similarly, there has been an epidemic of HIV, AIDS and STIs in the Pacific Islands region since 1994. Without ample funding, dedicated volunteers and employees, efficient medical training, and graduate internship projects, these statistics may become even greater. Australia contributes to approximately 66% of the Solomon Islands development assistance and provided $136.9 million in funding towards supporting stability, enabling economic growth, and enhancing human development in the Solomon Islands between 2017 and 2018. Thank you for watching and listening to my presentation on Australian Volunteers International, Solomon Islands Graduate Internship Project.